In this tutorial, we'll learn how to make an underbust peplum belt. It's so easy and beautiful. Stay with me as we learn how to make this beautiful item. The first thing we need to do is to draft our pattern, and that is exactly what I will be doing with this pattern paper. So the first thing is to draw my start line, which also stands as the shoulder line. From this shoulder line, I will go down to my bust point, my bust line. I will measure from the shoulder to the under bust, mark the under bust line. Also, I'll measure from the shoulder to the waist. And after that, I will measure from the shoulder to where I want this peplum to stop. You can actually use the length, your blouse length, the blouse length, but if you want it longer, you can go further down. If you want it shorter, also you can do whatever you want. The next thing to do after drawing all the lines is to mark 3 inches on my shoulder line. From that 3 inches, I will mark 5 inches, and on that point, I will go down by 1.5 inches. That that's stand for my shoulder slant or shoulder slope. Now from there, I will divide my back into 2. The back I'll be using here is 16 inches. I'll divide it into 2, which is 8. I'll go a little bit down and mark the same 8 so that I can get a straight line for my armhole. So I will connect it, and take note, I'm starting from the shoulder slant downward. So on this particular line, I will input my armhole length. If you measure your armhole, you divide it by 2, and if you want, you can add a little ease to it. So that is where I'll pick my bust measurement. After doing that, the next thing is to put my bust span. You measure your nipple to nipple and divide it by 2. Whatever it gives you, divide by 2. So that is what I'm measuring at this point, and I'll connect the straight line. Note that I connected it straight to the hem of the blouse. That is the length, the full length of the blouse. Now what I want to do is, I don't want my waist to stop at my normal waist, so I went down by 2 inches. That is, my waist actually is 16, but I don't want the the belt, the corset, the other corset, underbust belt to stop at that point. So I went further by 2 inches below my waist line. So that is, this new line I drew will be the waistline for me. That is where I will put my measurements. And also I want the peplum to be longer, so I want the peplum to be like almost like a 7 or 8 inches. So I went down after adjusting my waistline. I realized the peplum is now 5 inches, so I went down again by 2 inches, thereby making the length of my pattern longer by 2 inches. So from the new waistline now to the new hem line, that is like 7 inches. That is what I will use for my peplum. Now the next thing is to take my dart on my new waistline. I'll take 1/2 inch to the right to 1/2 inch to the left. The amount of dart you take depends on the difference between your bust circumference and your waist circumference. So now on the bust line, I came down by 1/2 inch, and from there I will draw my dart leg. The next thing is to extend the dart legs to the down part. The next thing to do is to measure the difference between the distance between my under bust and my bust. In this case, I have 3.5 inches, so I will draw like a semicircle of 3.5. You can draw a complete circle if you want, but we don't really need a complete circle, so I'll be drawing a semicircle. I will start my reference point is my bust point. You see where the tape is, and I will just be marking 3.5 inches all around. I won't make a complete circle. I'll just make like a semicircle, half of a circle. Now the next thing is to put my bust divided by 4, my bust circumference divided by 4, and I will add 1 inch seam allowance on my new waistline. Now my waist divided by 4 plus the 1 inch, for the dart leg 1 inch, then I will add 1 inch seam allowance as well. And on my new hem line now, or the hip line, I will mark my hip 2 divided by 4, and then I'll connect the lines. So that is my hemline or the hip line. My hip divided by 4, I'll add 1 inch seam allowance and I'll connect the lines. The next thing I'll do is to cut out the part that I want to use as my peplum. So I'm starting from the hip line now. I'll cut it, and I'll cut also from my new waist line. This part that I cut out is what I will use as my peplum. So I don't need that dart. I'll have to close the dart. Okay, let's work on the underbust belt now. Now here I'm coming down by 1.5 inches. You can come, if you don't want it to be too high, that is the side, you can come down more, maybe by 2 inches or 3 inches. And if you like, you can even maintain your under bust line. So I came down there, and also at this center I came down by 1.5 inches too. If you like, you can come down further. It depends on the shape you want. So I'll just connect it and I'll cut out the pattern now. Just watch me as I cut. I'll cut off the dart. Cut off the dart leg. And this is all we need. These 2 pieces is all we need. And the peplum parts that we'll cut earlier. And now for this peplum, I'll be cutting, as like I said earlier, we don't need the dart. So I'll cut the dart. And I'll close it. Just add glue and close it. So this is what we have. The next thing is to work on the back part. Here is the pattern for the back. I'll draw a straight line to demarcate my zipper allowance. So after marking out my zipper allowance, I'll bring out the front pattern so that I can use it to mark out the back. So what I'll do is I'll put the two pattern and I'll open it up. This is the center, front and the side. So I'll open it up. I'll put the 1 inch that I took, that will be the spacing between the two pattern, and I will just draw a straight line at the upper part and at the side, and that will be the pattern for the back. It's so easy, nothing fancy. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. So what I'm measuring there is the 1 inch that I took in front. So I'll put it back because I'll take the same dart at the back. So let me just trace out this pattern. I'll just use the ruler to trace it like this at the upper part, and I'll mark the dart so that I can use it to mark the dart leg, to draw the dart leg rather. So the next thing is to remove the front pattern so that I can draw the dart for the back. To get where my dart will be at the upper part, my bust span divided by 2, which is 4. Then I will just draw from that point to the 2 points I marked at the lower part, and that is my dart leg. So the next thing will be to cut out this pattern. It's so easy, nothing difficult. And I don't need the zipper allowance, so I'll cut off the zipper allowance. Also, because this bag, it will have a corset, but it will have rope, so we need space. Therefore, I'm cutting off 2 inches. I'll cut off 2 inches because of the type of bag that it will have. It will have a lace back. Because of the lacing at the back, I'll cut off 2 inches. So now I don't need the zipper allowance. I'm cutting off 2 inches from the center, and just watch what I will do. Then I'll close the dart. I don't need the dart actually, so I'll close it after cutting. Now after cutting off the 2 inches and the zipper allowance, the next thing is to close this dart. I'll close it, just open it like this and I'll close it. I'll add glue and I'll close it, and this will be the back pattern. Now mark it. The arrow shows me that's the upper part, and I'll write center back at this part so that I won't be confused when I'm cutting the fabric. And the fabric I'll be using is an organdy. I have this organdy, that is what I'll be using. So I'll just cut out my fabric. This is the side front. I'll cut 2 of these, and I'll cut the center unfold, the center front unfold, and I'll cut 2 of the back. As I cut, I'll add some allowance at the lower part, at the down, at the upper parts, and at the joining. The only part I will not add some allowance is the side, because while drafting the pattern I already had added 1 inch for the side seam. So I'll just cut the pattern and come back to show you what I have. I'm done cutting. This is what I have. This is the back. So I just mark my center back, and the upper parts I already notched it. Then this is the center front, cut unfold, cut the center front unfold, and I cut 2 of the side front, or the front side, whichever way. So the next thing is to take to my sewing machine and to join them together. I would like to show you one way to join a sheer fabric so that you can have channel for boning, for bone. So this is the center, front, and the side. Then I cut another strip of fabric and I put the 3 on top each other like this, and I'll sew it. So after joining it together, this is what I have. This is the strip, this is the side, and that's the center front. So I'll take it to my ironing table now, and I will iron it. Watch as I will iron, and I'll bend it. So the first thing is to open up the seam like this. To open up the seam, turn it inside, then I'll bend the seam to one side. I'll fold the strip and iron. If your seam allowance is too big, you can trim it. Then I'll take it to my machine and sew it. I'm sewing the way I bent it with the iron. The next thing is to trim off the excess. Trim off the excess. Then I'll bend the seam allowance and top stitch. I'll bend it towards that part that I just cut, and I'll top stitch it. And that is a channel where my bone will pass through when I want to bone the underbust corset. So I just go ahead and join the other side using the same techniques. Join it and I'll come back to show you what I have. After joining, this is it. This is what I have. You see. Now you can now put as many boning channel as you want, and you can design it, you can make it slants, you can do anything you want. So you just go ahead and add more boning channel. You can use this is a store-bought boning channel that I have, but you can make yours. I ended up not using this particular one because I used the organic fabric to make my. I'll show you how I did it. I won't be using this one. So this is what I did. I cut strips of my organic fabric and I ironed it. I folded it twice. I ironed it first. This is the first folding. So once I'm done folding the first time, I'll fold again the second time and iron it, so that I'll have a thick channel. So I'm folding again the second time. I'll press it, and that is what I will use as channel for my bone. So this is it. I'll just place it on the corset, and I'm trying to trim off the excess at that point. So I'll just take it, I'll put it on the corset we're making and use it to make as many channel as I want. This is what I have after adding as many channel that I want. You can still increase it, you can use whatever design, but this is it. So the next thing is to add the loop for my rope at the back. So I already turned my strap. I sew and turn it. So I'll just add the loop. I already joined the loop. You see it. This is it. Now I will use this strip so that I can finish up that place neatly. So I'll sew it and I'll turn it inside, and the way I'll do it also, I'll make sure it is big enough for a bone to pass through it. So technically I'll be making a channel at that point too, so that it can strengthen the loop. So this is what I have. The next thing is to tape. I will tape the upper part first. So taping the upper part, I will add the bone to hold the channel. So this is it after taping. The next thing is to add my bones. I'll be using a plastic bone and I'll pass it through all the channels. Now you can stop at this point. If you don't want a peplum, you can just tape the lower part of this corset bit under bust corset, and you rock it like this. It's beautiful like this. But because I want to add my peplum, I'll show you how to go about the peplum. So basically this is what we have. Like I said earlier, you can tape the lower part and just tape it and use your rope, whether your pliers or whatever, to finish it off, and that is it. If you want to stop at this point, but I'll still go further by adding the peplum to it. Now this is our pattern, the peplum pattern that I cut, if you remember, and I have about 9.5 inches here. I will measure my corset, half of it, I'll fold it into two like this and measure it. I think I have 16 inches here, so that means the pattern is too long. I'll have to trim off. I'll trim it off so that I can have exactly what I have on this underbust corset. So I'll just mark the excess there and cut it off. The next thing I want to do is to draw a line at the center like this. This part is optional. It's not compulsory you draw this line. But for me, I want the peplum part to open up a little. If you don't want your peplum to open, you don't want it to wide, then you don't have to do this part. So after cutting it, I'm just trying to label it so that I will know my center. This part I'm labeling is my center front. And the other part will be my center back. So I place the pattern on my fabric and I open it up. I open it by 1.5 inches. If you want yours wider, you can open it small, and if you don't want it to be wide at all, you can maintain your pattern the way it is or it was. Then just cut out your fabric. I'll cut out 4 because I'll be using this fabric both as the lining and as the face. So cut out 4 pieces of this. Then I'll take it to I will add an interface into it. I'll add an interface into 2. And the other 2, I won't add anything. I'll just use it to turn it. So after adding interfacing like this, I'll use the other fabric to turn it, and I will come back. I will iron it, and I will come back to show you what I have. After joining and ironing, this is what I have. So the next thing will be to join it to my underbust corset. I will join the two, and this is it. It meets at the center front. It meets at the center front, and you see it. I hope you have learned something new in this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video.